It is absolutely crazy to me that you don't understand how much your specific person loves you. And if you want to see this in your external reality, you just have to follow this one simple trick that's going to level up your manifestation. And it's actually just understanding that your senses, so your five senses, your sight, your smell, your taste, your hearing, your sense of touch, will be the absolute last things to experience your manifestation. And I know it actually sounds obvious if we understand or know of the law of assumption. You would say, of course, that my external reality will only show me my manifestation once I truly assume it or act as if, but we never usually think about it in the perception of our senses. And so normally what we're doing is we're looking at our external reality and asking, where is my manifestation? How can I change things around me? How can I make it faster? How can I speed up the process? But in essence, all of your senses will again be the last things to ever experience your manifestation. The first thing will, of course, be your assumption and your imagination. And that's where the power comes in. Because essentially, I know we want to look at our external reality to speed up time, but we technically are in love with time. We love it. We expect it, we anticipate it, we welcome it. But of course, obviously, if you want to not take a long time in your manifestation, then we obviously can't be doing this. And so we might ask ourselves, okay, so if we, of course, are trying to manifest time by focusing on just our senses receiving and perceiving what we want, why do we do this? And in the same way of the video I talked about yesterday in relation to luck, when we think of time, it's kind of an excuse to not act from the state. Us actually focusing on our external reality or our 3D reality is the same exact thing. We are just using this focus to try to undermine the efforts that our imagination is doing to bring us to our manifestation. Because one of the simplest and first things I bet you've ever learned in your manifestation was that your external reality is going to reflect your state of being as soon as you assume it. So then we would ask ourselves, okay, so why are we actually looking to our external reality for results? Why are we looking to our external reality for proof of it? Why are we ever blaming anything in our external reality for not happening or for not occurring in the way that we want? Why would we ever assume or blame our specific person for not texting us when, like I mentioned, they love you, they want to text you, they want to show up as that individual? We just need to assume it first. And so when we actually look at our external reality, we end up in a cycle in which we continuously repeat the same things over again. Because I want to say this again because it's so powerful and just something to think about throughout the day. But your senses, your five senses, will be the last thing to actually experience your manifestation. And think about that. Just really contemplate that, because that's all you need to take from here in order to manifest what you want. Because then we know the power and the energy and the essence and the assumption that we put on our external reality doesn't really do anything without the state. Of course, there will be divine inspiration and divine action for you to achieve what you want, but we usually think of it in the exact opposite. We are thinking, oh, I will assume that, I'll believe it, I'll act as if once my reality shows me that, assuming that our five senses are going to be the first thing to actually experience this outcome. But every goal, every single goal you've ever experienced, every single goal you've ever manifested, everything around you always shows up in this way. It is always unseen before it is seen. You have to act as the individual that creates it before it occurs. It's kind of like the essence of telling yourself, if you wanted to manifest wealth, that you'll feel wealthy once you have $1 million. You'll act as the wealthy individual once you have 10K coming in every single day. But that absolutely doesn't make sense, because the version of ourselves that actually creates and achieves that outcome is the version that's already in the state. So the individual that's getting $1 million a month has to first be the individual that creates that in order to actually see that happen outside of us. And the way in which I like to describe this idea, because I think metaphors are perfect in manifestation, is to remember that in order to go up a ladder, you do have to let go of the last step. And so in your manifestation, if you want to manifest exactly what you want and see a massive change around you, you have to let go of that last step or that that last state. You have to move forward and have a sense of change or an alteration in who you are in order to experience something different. Because if we continuously do the same exact things over and over and over again, why would we ever actually experience anything different? If we think the same way, if we act the same way, if we believe the exact same things, why would anything change? If we are expecting ourselves to change once our reality changes, then how can we actually ever manifest what we want? It's kind of like as well, if you want, hopefully this isn't too many metaphors, but think about manifesting a job. If you want a job and you change your resume to fit a specific job, why would that same resume create a different job? And we would say it wouldn't. If we have an entry-level job and that's what we manifested and that's what our resume is, if we want the CEO job, your resume, or in this case, which is your sense of being, cannot remain the same. If you try to manifest or create the CEO job with the entry-level resume, it's not going to bring the outcome that you want. They would most likely say to you, well, this job isn't for you, but we do have a job for you, and that is a entry-level job. So everything, and I mean every single thing, is always in relation to your sense of self and your sense of being. So the way you think, the way you believe, and the way you act in your reality, that is your sense of being. And so as Neville Goddard always says, if you want to manifest something new or you want to be in your new state, you have to completely die to your old self in your old state, which again, that means our senses, so your five senses, will be the last thing to experience exactly what you desire. So how would you go throughout today, or how would you manifest if you knew that to be a fact? So the last thing that we'll actually experience is our senses. And the funny thing is, again, everything you've ever done has been the same exact way. You've never achieved something or acted in the state of something after receiving it. You haven't gotten your weekly paycheck and then went to work. You haven't had your refrigerator fill up with food and then go to the store. That has never occurred in the history of anything. So then why are we acting as if our specific person manifestation is going to act or be in a way that the rest of our entire reality hasn't already done? Remember, manifestation is a fabric of everything. Manifestation is a law that your entire universe and entire reality must abide by. So everything, no matter how small or how large you think it to be, must abide by the same exact manifestation and assumption rules. And so let go of this concept or obsession and love with time and understand you have everything accessible and available to you right now. For example, look at this success story that happened from one of my phone call coaching sessions. And they wrote and they talked about how their specific person now responds to them within minutes. As well as this, they talked about how after the call, their specific person was stalking their Instagram, liking all of their previous photos. Now, if you were to think about what state your specific person must be in to be stalking your Instagram and to text you within minutes every time you communicate with them, you would say, of course, they are acting as the individual that is pursuing you. And if you want this same exact success for yourself, remember, you must act as the individual that your specific person obsesses over before you're going to see this happen in your reality. And if you are thinking, whether it's logical or subconscious, that you are only going to change your sense of self, change your assumptions, change your thoughts once they're blowing up your phone, then you're going to forever just repeat the same exact outcome and you won't see the changes that you want. This is actually sometimes why we feel we experience so much time, is because again, we're expecting our senses to be the first thing to receive the outcome that we want, or the first thing to experience our manifestation, when in effect, they're actually the last. And so make sure as well, try this out, attempt this, just go throughout your day. I know it sounds like it's not really a technique, but all you have to do is think about, what if my senses were the last thing to experience what I wanted? What if I needed to get this feeling in some other way? What if I had to imagine it? What if I had to assume it? What if I had to just walk the day acting as if I already have it? And that's what creates the outcome that we want. Because if you were to think of everything in your reality, you always have an imaginative act. Even for dinner, if I would ask you, what are you having for dinner? You're immediately going to imagine something within your mind. Basically, having your senses again be the last thing to experience it. Think about making dinner. You probably put in all the effect, act as if, do the things you know would divinely guide you to that outcome, and the last thing is you actually taste the food. So make sure to comment any questions you have on this idea at all down below. As well as this, make sure to reach out to me if you did have any questions that you didn't want to post publicly at kyleaugustcoaching.com. And that's where you can reach me personally with any questions, any thoughts, any worries, anxieties, or successes. As well as this, thank you so much for stopping by today. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing. subscribing, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.